The shutters are nailed half closed, and the room is already too warm. And the woman on the bed is 16 years old, and does not yet know that by the time the bells ring for Vespers, she will be closer to her grave than she has ever been in her life. She is laughing, a little. Her name is Katerina. It is the feast of the Baptist, the 24th of June, in the year 1340, and outside her window, Florence is the richest city in Europe, and the whole of it is in the street. She thinks today is the day she becomes a mother. She is right. She does not yet know what it will cost her, or who, in this sealed and candle-smelling room, will stand between her and the dark. That woman is already climbing the stairs. Her knees are bad. We are going to walk through this day beside her, because she is the one who knows how it ends, and the girl does not. Her name is Monalucia di Bencio, and she is a midwife. A levatrice, the Florentines say, the one who lifts up. She is near 50, which is old for this city and this century, and she has buried a husband and 4 of her own 7 children, and once, long ago, a daughter who died exactly the way the girl upstairs might die today. She does not think about that daughter on the stairs. She has trained herself not to. I should say plainly, before we go further, that Lucia is a composite. Her name and her family are stitched together from several real women of the Florentine trade. Women who appear in the city's records only as a fee paid, a baptism witnessed, a body buried. The day itself, the protocol of the room, the prayers, the instruments, the cost of things, those are reconstructed from the surviving texts and the archaeology. And where I am guessing, I will tell you, I am guessing. The words I put in their mouths are a reconstruction in the spirit of what survives. The fear is not invented. The fear is the one thing the records keep. It is barely past prime, a little after 6 in the morning by our reckoning, though no bell in Florence calls it 6, when the boy comes hammering at her door in the Oltrarno, across the river, on the poor side. He is perhaps 10 and out of breath, and he has run the whole way over the Ponte Vecchio, through the butchers already throwing offal into the Arno, and the smell of it is on him. The Tornaquinci, he says, the young wife. Her waters have come, and the old aunt says, "It is wrong. It is coming wrong. You must come now." Lucia is already moving before he finishes. She has been waiting 3 days for this call. She has felt the child through the girl's belly twice this month, and twice she has not liked what her hands told her. And she has said nothing, because there is nothing to be done about a thing until it is the thing's hour. And the hour is now. She takes the bag she keeps by the door, the one that is always packed, the way a soldier keeps his boots. Inside it, a small knife with a blade worn thin from honing, washed in wine. A length of waxed linen thread, goose grease in a horn pot, dried birthwort and pennyroyal, which the Salerno book says ease the passage, and which she half believes and half does not. A little flask of holy water, because she may need it before the morning is done, and because she, of all the people who will be in that room today, is the only one the church permits to use it the way she may have to use it. And the girdle, the cintura, a long strip of parchment-thin printed cloth, a copy of a relic belt said to have touched the girdle of the Virgin at Prato, and on it, the prayers. And she does not know if it works, but she has never gone to a hard birth without it, and she is not about to begin today. She does not eat. You do not eat before a birth that may take a day. She drinks water and crosses herself and goes out into the feast. The street is a wall of noise. It is San Giovanni, the city's own saint, the biggest day of the Florentine year, and the guilds are hanging their banners, and the baptistry is being dressed, and there are men setting up for the palio, the horse race, and the whole air smells of dust and crushed flower stalk and frying. A boy is selling cherries. A friar is shouting about sin into a crowd that is not listening.
Lucia goes against all of it,
North and across the bridge, and she is a small grey woman with a leather bag, and the crowd parts for her the way it does not part for anyone else, because half of them she pulled into the world herself, and they know the bag. And a man who has had too much wine already at 7 in the morning shouts a blessing after her. May the levatrice never come for me, and laughs, and does not know that this is a thing only men can afford to laugh about. The Tornaquinci house is tall and new and stone-faced, with iron rings for torches and a door studded like a church door. This is money. Caterina married a clothman's son with a share in the Calimala trade, and the family wanted an heir from her the day after the wedding, and now the day has come. An old servant lets Lucia in without a word and points her up. The stairs are stone, and then wood, and then stone again. On the second landing, the husband is standing, 20 maybe, and white, in a good gown he has slept in. He opens his mouth. Lucia says, before he can, "This is not your floor. Go down. Go to the church and pay for a mass for her, and do not come up these stairs again until I send for you, whatever you hear. Whatever you hear." He goes. They always go. The room past the next door is for women only, and it has been since long before either of them was born. And a man who crosses that threshold while a woman labors brings, the city believes, the worst luck there is. She opens the door on the heat and the dark and the smell of fear. And there is the girl, and there is the old aunt wringing a cloth. And there is one neighbor woman who is good, and one who is useless. And Lucia sets down her bag, and in the time it takes to cross the room, she has already read everything. The shutters are right, closed against the draught and the evil air. The room kept warm as a stable in winter, even on a June morning, because the books and the grandmothers agree the cold can kill a laboring woman and her child. And so they swelter on purpose, all of them, sweating in the candlelight at midsummer. Good. The fire is too high. She has them damp it. There is wine, warming, and clean straw on the floor, and a low birthing stool in the corner, three-legged, crescent-seated, older than the aunt. Good. Someone has done this before. Then she puts her hands on Caterina's belly, and she keeps her face very still, the way she has trained herself to keep it for 30 years. And under the laughter and the sweat and the girl's brave chatter, it doesn't hurt so much yet. Monalucia, my mother said, the first is the worst, and then they come like shelling peas. Under all of it, Lucia's two flat palms find the round hardness high up under the ribs where the head should not be. The head is up. The child is sitting wrong. And low down, where the head should be turning into the world, there is something small and soft and double that her fingers know too well. A foot. The child is coming feet first. She has perhaps a heartbeat to decide what her face will do, and she decides it will smile. And she says, "Well now, We have all day. And that is the first lie of many she will tell in this room before the bells ring for the night. So now she waits, and waiting is the largest part of the craft, and the hardest, because a laboring woman reads the face of her midwife the way a sailor reads the sky. Lucia sits on a stool by the bed and takes the girl's hand and tells her a long, slow story about nothing, a wedding in the Oltrano, a goose that got loose in the church. And while she talks, her free hand is on the belly, always, feeling the tightenings come and go, counting them against the bells. The pains are still far apart. A foot presentation gives you that mercy at least in the beginning. It gives you time. It only takes the time back later, all at once, with interest. There is an order to this room, and Lucia is its only authority. And that is a strange thing in this city, in this century, and worth stopping on for the length of a breath, because the street outside belongs entirely to men. The wool guild, the Calimala, that made the Tornaquinci rich, men. The notaries who will write this child into the family if it lives, men. The physicians of the Arte dei Medici e Speciali, the guild that licenses the doctors and is beginning, just in these years, to cast a cold official eye over women like Lucia and ask by what right they practice. Men, every one. But the door of the birthing chamber is a door men do not pass, and on this side of it, for one day, a 50-year-old widow from the wrong side of the river holds more power over the future of a great merchant house than the head of the family himself. The Salerno texts that taught her, they were said to come down from a woman, Trotula, a healer of Salerno 2 centuries before, though the scholars now argue the name covers more than one hand, and may never have been one woman at all. Lucia cannot read them. She had them read aloud to her, years ago, by a priest who owed her, one winter, paragraph by paragraph, and she remembers them the way you remember a song. She does the things the song tells her. She has the good neighbor woman warm oil, and she greases her own right hand, and between the pains, gently, she reaches to learn the lie of the child more exactly. One foot and the other tucked up, a footling, the worst kind, the kind where nothing wedges the way open and the cord can come down first and be crushed, and the child strangle on the very threshold of being born. She does not say footling. She says to the aunt, in the flat voice she uses for the truth, "This will be a long one, and a hard one, and I will want more clean cloth, and the wine kept warm, and no one, coming through that door." The aunt's eyes go wide. The aunt has buried daughters too. They look at each other over the girl's head, and an entire conversation happens without a word, the way it does between women who have stood in rooms like this before. And then the aunt nods and goes to fetch the cloth. Caterina, between pains, wants to talk about the baby's name. If it is a boy, Giovanni, for the saint, for today. If it is a girl, and here she laughs. Her husband's mother wants Tessa, but Caterina wants Lucia, she says, for you, Monalucia, because my own mother says you are the reason I am alive. You pulled me out backwards too, did you know? 15 years ago? No, 16. And Lucia keeps her face still and says, "Did I?" And does not say that she remembers it, that she remembers every backwards child she has ever turned, because she counts them, that she has a number in her head of the ones that lived, and a number of the ones that did not. And the second number is the one she carries up the stairs in her bag, heavier than any iron. Mid-morning, the pains close up tighter, and the girl stops talking about names. The light through the nailed shutters has gone from grey to a hard white line at the edge, which means the sun is high, which means the feast outside is at its loudest, and they can hear it even through the stone. A roar that rises and falls, the paleo crowd, a cheer like a wave breaking. And inside the dark, hot room, the girl grips Lucia's hand and rides a pain that bends her double, and Lucia says, "Breathe it out, long, like blowing on soup." And the girl does, and on the far side of it, she is crying. Not from the hurt, she says, but because she is afraid. Suddenly, properly afraid. The way you are afraid, only when a brave old woman will not quite look you in the eye. And here is the thing that the chronicles do not write down, because the men who wrote them were 3 floors below, or in the church, or in the grave. And this is where I have to tell you, I am reconstructing, leaning on what the few women's own words survive. A letter, a deposition, a saint's life dictated to a scribe. What I think happened in rooms like this, in the long middle hours, is that the midwife became, for a while, the only mother the laboring girl had. Katerina's own mother was across the river and could not be sent for in time. So Lucia put down the craft for a moment and did the other thing, the older thing. She got onto the bed behind the girl and held her, both arms around her, the girl's wet head against her collarbone. And she talked low into her hair, the way you talk to a child in the dark. And she told her, and I believe this part, because it is the part a woman like Lucia would never have told a chronicler, and so it is the part most likely true. She told her about her own daughter. Her name was Bartola. She was the 4th of Lucia's 7. She married a dyer, and she came to term in the autumn of... Lucia would say the year, and then correct herself, the way the old do. No, the year after, the year of the bad floods. And Lucia delivered her herself, her own girl, which you are not supposed to do, which every grandmother in Florence will tell you brings grief. And it did. The child came easily. Bartola did not stop bleeding. There is a kind of bleeding after a birth that no oil and no prayer and no girdle and no thin knife will stop. And Lucia knew it for what it was within minutes, and could do nothing, nothing, her own hands as useless as a child's. And she held her daughter while the colour went out of her exactly as it was going out now, 16 years on, out of this borrowed daughter in this hot, dark room. She does not tell Katerina that part. She tells her only, I had a girl. I held her. I would hold the whole world like this if it would keep one of you. And the girl, who does not understand what she has just been told, stops shaking and rests. And for one quiet hour in the middle of the day, the two of them simply breathe together in the dark, the old woman and the young one, while a city of 100,000 souls roars on outside the wall, indifferent, in love with its own saint. And the child inside Katerina turns its small foot once more against the only door it knows. Then, a little after noon, the waters that are left come in a gush, dark, and Lucia's hand comes away wrong, and the smell changes, and she knows the mercy of time is over. The girl looks at her, and Lucia gets up off the bed and washes her hands again in the wine, and says, in a new voice, a working voice, all right. Now we begin in earnest. Get her to the stool. They lift her onto the birthing stool, the old 3-legged one with the crescent cut out of the seat, and the two neighbor women take an arm each, and the aunt kneels behind to hold her shoulders, and Lucia goes down on her own bad knees, on the straw, in front of the open seat where the work is. This is the position the Salerno book wants, and the grandmothers want, and gravity wants. The woman upright, the child falling with the weight of itself toward the world. For a head-first child, it is enough. For this child, it will not be enough. And Lucia knows it, and she has perhaps an hour, maybe less, before the girl has no more strength to push, and the child still inside her. And she runs the arithmetic she has run in too many rooms. How long the mother can last, against how long the child can last. 2 clocks, and her whole skill is keeping them from running out at the same moment. She greases her hand to the wrist.
She waits for the next pain to pass,
And in the slack water after it, she reaches in along the small, slick leg already showing. Up, following the line of the body, looking by feel alone in the dark of another person, for the second foot folded up against the belly. Because you cannot deliver a footling on one leg, the books say, and her hands have taught her. You must bring the other leg down, or the hips will jam in the gate, and that is the end of both of them. Her fingers find the knee. She hooks one finger behind it, gentle, gentle, the whole craft of 40 years in one finger, and she eases the leg straight and down and out. And the girl screams, a sound that has nothing to do with the brave girl of the morning, and Lucia says, "Good, good, that is good. You are doing it." When the girl is doing nothing, when it is Lucia doing it. But the girl needs to hear that she is the one, and so she hears it. 2 feet now. Lucia takes them in a fold of clean linen, because wet skin slips, and a dropped child is a dead child, and she does not pull. This is the thing the careless ones get wrong, and the thing that kills. You do not pull. You guide, and you wait, and you let the woman's own pains do the pushing, and you keep the child from twisting, and above all, you keep your hand in there, feeling for the cord, because in a breach, the cord comes down beside the body into the cold and the press of the birth.